You, we thought you were nodding off there for a moment.
No. I'm just texting out that on X, on Elon's platform, that I'm with Greg Kelly right now because I don't want anybody to miss this incredible segment where we get to talk about a Marine brought back home because of President Trump, Steve Witkoff, Adam Bowler, and of course, that makes 107 Americans in just 18 months brought back, no American left behind, record-breaking because this man makes a promise. Every American, hostages, wrongfully detained like this young Marine, is coming back home because of our commitment to the president's priority. We were there on the tarmac last night in Dulles. It's just, is there any better job than this? I know you flew jets. I know that's pretty cool. But is there any better job than bringing home Americans safely to their families? It's truly stunning. This is what America First means. This is America First.
It's beautiful, Sebastian. It really is. Congratulations. Look, he looks very thin and not as well as he used to. What was he like? How's he going to be? What's the outlook?
So, look, we were very worried because of the reports of his health. I think, 4 months in a Russian prison is probably tough. I think 4.5 years is probably beyond the physical capacity of most human beings. Of course, this is a Marine. It was amazing to be as soon as they exited Russian airspace through the White House, the amazing comms team there, we connected the plane to President Trump and all the key players in this. My immediate boss, Secretary Rubio, the National Security Advisor, Jared Kushner was on the call, Adam Bowler, our special envoy for hostage relations, and then, of course, the man who really sealed the deal, Steve Witkoff, the president's peace envoy. We're on the call with Robert. He was just so ecstatic. He couldn't get beside himself, thanking the president for freeing him, and the president promising to him, what do you want, Robert? And he said, I want a cheeseburger. So Steve Witkoff arrives at the terminal last night with his team with more cheeseburgers, French fries, vanilla milkshakes than I've ever seen in my life, to keep the president's promise, not just to bring this man home with his mother, who was on the plane, and members of my team and the State Department team, but also to keep that promise. So now he goes to a rehabilitation facility, a health facility in San Antonio that is expressly for former captives, former hostages, and he's going to stay there as long as he needs to fully recover. He was so weak. I wanted to shake his hand. I gave him a challenge coin from the National Security Council counterterrorism team. He couldn't even lift his hand because they'd so... Well, I'll leave it to your imagination what had happened to him in prison. So he needs to find his strength. I gifted him a cigar from my humidor to say, once you're fully back to Marine Corps strength, you can celebrate. But now it's time to be reunited with his family.
Wonderful, Sebastian. Alexi Hudson, the sister, tweeted, C11, if you don't mind, there is no other reason that Robert is alive today other than that President Trump heard about the case and took action. And here she is a few months ago making the same point out loud, I believe. C10.
When Robert was detained, it broke my heart. I just thought about how hard it was for him to be there and what he was going through. Since President Trump came into office, we've gotten more updates on my brother's case. We learned that the State Department actually knew his name, who he was, and they were actually working on the case instead of just giving us very generic answers, as what happened with the previous.
That's fantastic. And look, Sebastian, I know probably this stuff you want to, it's classified or you want to keep it on the down low, but how did this come about? You call up Putin, and how do you do it? What can you tell us?
Well, the person in the arena was, of course, Steve Witkoff, a friend of the president's for more than 35 years. Of course, the president is the key negotiator, the author of The Art of the Deal. There were other parts of the U.S. government, the State Department, the hostage team, FBI, and there was another player that I can't mention who was also a key to the deal. But really, it comes down to one thing, leadership from the man behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. And let me reveal something to you here live on your show, Greg. I meet with the families of all of these hostages. I met with a lot of the families of the Israeli hostages in Gaza who needed the president's help as well, and Jared Kushner's help. And let me tell you something. These families told me that during the Biden administration, they were told by the likes of Jake Tapper, that arch scoundrel behind the Russia hoax, not to talk about the loved ones. The mothers, the fathers, the brothers and sisters were told by the then National Security Advisor, don't embarrass Biden. Don't embarrass administration. Don't tweet about it. Don't talk about it. When they come to me with their cases, I say, you know what? You tweet about it and I'll retweet it. You tell us how important this person is to you and the president will put it on Truth Social. Why? Because that's the difference between the reprobates of the last administration and this America First administration led by President Trump. That's the difference.
Awesome. Sebastian Gorka, congratulations. Our best to the Gillen family, Deputy Assistant to the President and Senior Director for Counterterrorism. Awesome job. And of course to Mr. Witkoff and the President, thank you very much. And we'll be right back. Good job.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.